Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Business Growth Accelerator. Your host, Brandon Garcia, Chief Business Strategist, with the number one goal of helping you conquer the local market. Today's episode is a blast from the past, recorded back in 2021 after the hype and the height of the pandemic. I was still selling cars at the time. My guest and family member, Megan Pozecki, graced me with this interview. She didn't have to do it, took a little bit of time out of her day to sit down and chat with me one-on-one to help me kickstart my journey in the online selling space. Now, my initial intentions were to just be an info product seller and not really get into the consulting agency world. But after having this interview and sitting on it for way too long and actually going back and listening to it a couple times, I decided to switch up the game plan and get into agency work because of this interview. Now, this was supposed to be interview number one and it's supposed to have debuted months and months ago, but my hesitation of it not being perfect and everything just held it back. And not only did it hurt me, unfortunately, I may have hurt Megan here in the process, as well as Megan now has a book out called The Optimized Life, a nutrition guide for entrepreneurs. So definitely check that out on Amazon. You can get it for free if you have Kindle Unlimited. So with that being said, let's get into the show. Wow, I think we got it figured out. Turns out you need a premium account to record. Anyway, I know I'm just kind of starting off the bat here, but my name's Brandon, and I am waiting on my guest to show up today. This is the first interview, that we are going to set. So here we go.
All right, I'm in.
All right, we are cooking with fire now. We're recording. All right, awesome, cool. Hey, sweet, I appreciate you doing this. This is
no problem.
Gonna help me out and hopefully help you out down the road too with everything that you're doing. I know I'm just jumping into the mix without really giving an intro. I was planning on recording an intro with this and then just looping into the interview. But in any case,
tell me what you're doing.
Oh, yeah. So you know what I'm doing. You need to figure out what you're doing. I am trying to get into affiliate marketing and opening up my own agency as well. I like selling cars, things like that, but I need to make money online and be an entrepreneur, kind of like what you're doing. I've been following you for a while and what you're doing with your blog posts and your travel and you're doing the nutrition thing and all that kind of stuff. So it's always been an inspiration to do that. And now I finally figured it out. I'm looking to help other people do that by interviewing the entrepreneurs that I know in my life that have already done it. So, yeah, with that, the product that I'm putting together is going to be a simple web course, most likely going to be just through email. And it's called Passions to Profit, right? So you just find your passion, figure out what you can do with it to then make money and help the world, or help the world to make money, however you want to do that. With that, I know we've spent some time here trying to figure this whole thing out. We'll move along as quickly as possible here and do as much backstory as we can. But full disclosure, we're cousins and we grew up in the same area, same town, went to the same high school. Obviously went a little bit different paths. After high school, where did you end up going?
I went to Ohio State and I was in Columbus for about 5 years. I did my 4-year undergrad and then a 1-year internship.
Okay. What kind of major experiences there pushed you to what you're doing now?
So I thought I wanted to be a senator. That is how I thought you changed the world, was by becoming a politician. Okay. So I was very deep into that world for the first semester or so of school, in which I realized that it was actually not at all what I wanted to do. Once you got into the big city of Columbus, it was a little different. And I recognized that's not how I was going to impact people on a personal level. So I went back to the drawing board and tried to figure out what the heck do I want to do. And I printed out a list of all of the majors that Ohio State had. And my roommate at the time said, why don't you do something with nutrition? That's what you're always talking about. You're always reading about. You're always eating healthy. And I was like, that's not a career. I don't know what you're talking about. But how can I do that for work? She said, maybe you should really look into it. And so I did. And let's just say I never looked back. I found my thing. For sure. Yeah. I've been following your story and reading all your blog posts, things like that. And I did do a little bit of back research and actually read, I think, your hero story, so to speak, on what really got you into it and how you're having the difficulties and the struggles of trying to figure out why other people are eating everything that they want and not gaining a pound, and why if you eat a carrot, you're bloated and you feel like you gained 10 pounds. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of personal experience that led to me wanting to help others when it came to nutrition, because For whatever reason, I felt like I was the type of person who couldn't eat like my friends, and I was the one in the dorm room literally microwaving fillets of tilapia and smelling up the entire dorm room instead of going to the meal hall with everybody else, because there was no way I could eat that food without gaining weight. And come to find out, after years of struggling with this and education, working with other people, is I was just starving myself. And my body was holding on to every single thing that I gave it. And that's why I couldn't eat like other people who weren't dieting or weren't on 1,200 calorie diets and over exercising and doing all the things that I thought was healthy.
Gotcha. Yeah, for sure. Eating is a necessity for life. If you don't eat, and obviously you're going to have some issues down the longer. How did you figure out then to take what you've learned in college and apply it to what you're doing now?
Yeah, so I became a clinical dietitian right out of school, which means I worked in a hospital system and was seeing patients. Basically, I worked on a GI floor, and a lot of times these patients would have several feet of their colon removed or severe stomach issues, and I would be starting them on tube feedings. So they weren't even able to eat real food. So it was very technical, lots of math, lots of formulations, and not at all why I got into nutrition in the first place. So it was cool because I got to see the medical side of things, but I also knew that's not why I got interested in the field in the first place. And so I would have friends or family members ask me, hey, what do you think about that latest, greatest diet or supplement? And I wouldn't really know what to say because that's not the world that I was in. I could talk about the right tube feeding formula for pancreatitis though. So when I recognized that my career wasn't going in the direction that I was interested in, that's when I started my side hustle of seeing clients on the side when they asked me, not really marketing myself or anything like that, but someone saying, hey, I'm really looking for a dietitian. Is this something that you do? Instead of saying no, I started saying yes. And that led to me eventually opening my own private practice.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah. So when you first started though, what was one thing that you wish you knew that would have helped you out quicker than how you got started?
That you don't have to follow all the rules. I think I was really turned off from entrepreneurship. And when I was in college, I guess I'm old because the word entrepreneur really wasn't a big thing when I was in
For sure.
school.
Yeah. Didn't even know the word. Yeah.
We had a class where we would have different dietitians in all different places they could work come in and talk with us. And someone came in from the entrepreneurial world, and I remember looking up that word and what does that even mean? Oh, it means they own a business. Okay. And I remember that person talking about what they did and making it seem like it was so overwhelming that you have to be your own human resources manager, you have to be your own website manager, you have to do your own accounting, you have to do all your own hiring and firing, and just all the things that they said made me feel like, why would anyone ever want to do that? Like, why wouldn't you just get hired and have somebody else do all the other stuff, and then all you have to do is your work? So it was never laid out to me that this is an opportunity where you can carve your own path. And it wasn't until much later, until I was in my career, where I saw other dietitians doing that. And even then, a lot of times I would get discouraged. I remember my boss at the time at the hospital, I told her what I wanted to do. And she's like, legally, you have to get this type of insurance and you have to set up this and you have to, and everybody makes it sound like there's so many big hoops to jump through. Guess what? We have Google. Everything, you can Google it and you can figure it out. And so
For sure.
I would just encourage other people to not feel discouraged. If you feel like it's a big mountain, you just take it one step at a time. And if you're confused about your liability insurance, just Google it or ask another person in your field. All the answers are out there these
For
days.
sure. Yeah, I'm seeing the same thing. And it's been like such a huge eye opener. Is I've always struggled to figure out, okay, where do you get started? And the first step is first getting the knowledge and knowing where to go to find that. So what everybody is seeing you right now from your website, from your Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, everything that you're putting out there is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much below the water. And I'm sure there was plenty of failures along the way before you even got to where you're at. What was the biggest thing that you say you failed at that taught you the biggest lesson to get you where you're at?
I would say it wasn't one big failure that taught me a big lesson, but if I look back on the trajectory of my career and where I am right now, I think the biggest things that have held me back were the hesitations in taking the next big steps. So, for example, when I first started out, I was in Texas and I didn't have enough money to rent an office space. So, I was working out of the office space at my apartment complex. And I remember when I had enough clients and I had enough money to rent an office space, I was still so hesitant to do that. And I probably could have done it 9 months to a year before I actually took that full step of signing a lease. But then once I did that, it was like, why didn't I do this a year ago? Like, this elevated me to a whole nother level and brought in so many more clients. Same thing with having my website redesigned or having my logo done by a professional branding team, like all these things that I had hesitated on for months and months that eventually when I pulled the trigger really elevated me. I wouldn't hesitate as much now. Same thing with hiring somebody, hiring another dietitian. It took me years before I felt like there was someone that I could trust enough to bring on, and I wish I would have done it a long time ago. So I wouldn't say there are big failures like I lost all of my investments or anything like that. Right. It's been more the hesitations along the way that I wish I would have taken those next steps before I was maybe ready.
Okay. So then would you say your hesitations were just due to the fact that you didn't know what you didn't know now?
I think it was a lot about my money mindset and being afraid. Okay. Afraid to invest in a retail space because if I'm just working from my apartment or if I'm just doing virtual stuff, or if I'm going to other people's homes, now I don't have that investment to make. So if I have to pay $800 a month, yikes, that means like I have to make at least another $800 to make my ends meet at the end of the month. But what I didn't realize is that extra $800 that I'm putting into a retail space is bringing so much more back into the business because now people are looking at it as a legit business rather than me just working out of my apartment.
For sure. Investing in yourself is absolutely key, whether it is in a physical asset like your real estate or just in your education or knowledge alone. That's one concept that I personally picked up about a year ago through my mentor. And I'm sure you see my posts with Grant Cardone and sales and learning that. So that's absolutely 100% like spot on, key and crucial to moving forward. So with that, like getting into like the influence on where you're at and where I'm going, who are the people in your life that have influenced you on both your scientific side, meaning your dietitian side, and then your entrepreneurial side?
I would say both in the dietitian world and in the business world. I had a mentor when I first started. Her name is Christine Palumbo. And when I looked at her, I was like, this is the dietitian I want to be. She had been on Oprah. She writes for national magazines. She had been on all these different media outlets. She had her own private personal practice. And I got lucky enough to be mentored by her. And I remember when I was at that beginning stage of just seeing clients on the side and wondering if I could make a business out of it. She was the first person that said, just do it, just start, get 2 more clients this month, go see them at Starbucks. Don't worry about what everything looks like. And I was thinking, I need to go back to school. I need to get a master's in business. There's all these things I need to do before I start actually seeing clients. And she asked me, are you a dietitian? I said, yes. She said, can dietitians help people change their lives? I said, yes. And she said, then you're ready. You're ready to start doing it. And so what I recognized through that process is you learn way more by doing it than just thinking about it or reading about it. So while those first consultations were not perfect, and if I could go back, I would probably change everything that I was doing with those clients. That's how I learned. And that's how I can help people now and be confident in what I'm doing because of those first people that I saw and when I got my feet wet.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. That's awesome. With that and what you do and what people see what a dietitian does, what are some myths that may hold people back from reaching out to a dietitian to help them out?
I think a lot of people think that I just write meal plans because that's a lot of times what I'll get asked for. Hey, can you write me a meal plan? No, I can't. And that is not what I do at all. Right. You can buy a meal plan from anybody online, some kind of Instagram influencer for $15, and it's not going to do anything for you. That's one thing that I definitely am sure of. By following some meal plan for the next 2 to 4 weeks, you're not going to learn anything by doing that. And once that meal plan is up, you're going to be looking for the next thing or the next diet. So a lot of what I do is deep dives into what's actually happening in your life and how do we help change you to become the most healthy, confident, and comfortable person that you can possibly be. So it's a lot of counseling more than me saying, hey, you should eat chicken and broccoli. Everybody knows what foods are healthy for the most part. You know that eating a Snickers bar for lunch isn't a good choice, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're changing your behaviors. So a lot of what I do is figuring out what's contributing to your behaviors right now and how do we take a step back from that? How do we learn how to listen to your body, eat foods that you enjoy, and get you to a place that you can do that for the long haul versus here's your 4-week meal plan. Here's the perfect way to eat. Go follow this.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's good. You're absolutely right when it comes to that kind of stuff. I struggle with weight these past, I don't know, 2 years. I was up to the heaviest I have ever been. Could never really figure out what to eat, how to eat, and things like that. And it wasn't until that I actually paid someone to teach me how to do it that I ended up losing 20, 25 pounds with a fantastic workout program I can continue. And once you have those habits ingrained, then you're pretty good set for life. So
you figured out your puzzle. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
It's about piecing together your specific puzzle, which is going to be different from your wife, which is going to be different from your sister, which is going to be different from your best friend. And it's figuring out what's going to work best for you.
Absolutely. And speaking on the entrepreneurial mindset and the people that I'm looking to share this information with, if you could be in their shoes right now, what is the one thing that you would have asked yourself that you hadn't?
The one thing I would ask myself, like that I haven't been asked yet.
Yeah. I guess for your why, why get started?
I think for me, for my why for being an entrepreneur and being in this space is because I get freedom over my life, which is something that's always been very appealing to me. I've never liked rules and traditional roles and only getting 2 weeks of vacation in a year, or someone telling me I have to be somewhere from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and feeling like I don't have control over my life. So the best thing for me is being able to manage my own schedule and work with the people that I really want to work with. And I have that freedom to be able to do that. So if somebody comes to me and I know they're not a good fit, I don't have to work with them. I work with the people that I feel like I'm going to enjoy working with, and I have the freedom to be able to do that. And so a lot of times when I talk with my friends or my family who are stuck in these 9 to 5 routines and they're not getting anything out of it, I talk to them about how could you possibly take what you're doing and turn that into something that can create freedom for you. Even in the nutrition world, it's not something that's necessarily like when you go to school, they teach you, oh, you can own your own business. I think looking at things from a different perspective or in a different lens of how could I monetize this in a way that could bring me in money and bring me time and freedom.
Yeah, that's awesome. For sure. And that's the reason that I'm going on the path, what I'm doing now. You always got to start somewhere to finance what you want to do and then just get those steady flows of incomes in to then work with whoever you want to work with, however you want to work with it.
Yep.
How's business going so far? It's 2021. We just had the worst year probably ever in our lives. Hopefully it doesn't ever happen again. How have you survived that and how are you looking to grow?
Yeah, financially, we've had our best year ever at Nutrition Awareness in 2020. So it really didn't affect us financially. I'm not saying we couldn't have maybe grown more, but we've continued to grow year after year since the business has started. I think part of that is increasing our visibility, but also part of that is because nutrition and exercise just becomes more and more popular every year. I'm in a good field, especially with quarantine and everything that happened in 2020. A lot of people were really faced with what am I eating and what is my routine like, and kind of a lot of time for self-reflection. And so I think that lended itself to people looking for coaches in this arena or looking to make changes because they finally did have the time to make those changes. So financially, we did really well. Coming up in 2021, we are upgrading our podcast a little bit. We're going into a real studio instead of just hanging out with our one microphone. We're also getting those things recorded in a professional studio. So we're going to be uploading all of those things on YouTube. And the podcast is called Nutrition Awareness, the same thing as my business name. I'm also growing a human. So I'm 38 weeks pregnant right now.
No kidding. Congratulations.
So, thank you.
Wow.
Sometime between now and the next 2-3 weeks, I should have another family member on board. And that will definitely be taking up a lot of my time. But because I own my own business and I love what I do, I'm not looking to shut the doors for the next 3 months or anything like that. And I do have another dietitian that's taken over all the new clients for the year so far, but I will be doing mostly virtual stuff from home while I'm figuring out how to take care of another human.
There you go. Awesome. So where can people then reach out and connect to you at? What platforms do you have your podcast on?
Yeah, so
website,
podcasts,
Facebook?
Anywhere you can find podcasts, just search the Nutrition Awareness Podcast. My business partner, Kate, and I host that. And then Instagram, I would say, is probably the platform that we are on the most. And you can find us at nutrition.awareness there. If you're interested in our services, you can always go to nutritionawareness.com. And that has more information about our backgrounds and what we do and our packages and pricings and things like that.
Sweet. Awesome. And I guess the last question to wrap everything up and I guess continue your evolution in your business, the market of online learning and digital education is absolutely blowing up. Would you ever consider moving to teaching and actually creating a course for other folks with the same interests as you as a dietitian to learn how to become a dietitian and to market and gain clients and I guess how to teach them what you're doing?
Yeah, and I've definitely moved into a space where I have coached several people in the business entrepreneurial space, whether they've been in nutrition or in another genre of business. And that's just come as like an opportunity of getting to know a person, but I don't have anything specific in the works to say, now I'm going to coach other dietitians on how to be a business owner. But I've had so many students and young dietitians come into my office or ask for calls or interviews or things like that to ask me how I got where I am. And I definitely love doing it, but it is not something that I have monetized. There are a lot of dietitians in this space doing that now, and I find a lot of them to be pretty gimmicky, honestly. Yeah. So I'm turned off from that space a little bit. And since I love where I am now and who I'm working with, and honestly, my favorite types of clients now are other entrepreneurs. So that's what I've moved towards, are entrepreneurs who need help in the health and wellness space. And that's what I love to do.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Megan, I really appreciate you doing this. You are episode number 1, the foundation,
yes.
The foundational episode here to launch and kick this off. And it's truly humbling to ask for help and actually get it. And I can say without a doubt, you're not going to ever get anywhere in life without asking for help.
Yeah.
You've helped me out today. I'm going to help you out down the road just by following what I do. I'm not going to be perfect yet. I don't know everything. But maybe you'll pick up yeah, you don't have to, but maybe you'll pick up a tip or a trick or see something that I'm doing that, hey, maybe you can then take it and run with it and then grow your business. And if you would need any advice or ask any questions regarding it, again, don't ever hesitate to reach out to do that.
Absolutely. I'm super excited to see where you can take this.
Yeah. Also, I'll let you get back to helping the folks out there, and I got to get back to selling cars. If they knew I was doing this, I probably won't be selling cars for very much longer. Again, appreciate the time here. Take care and have a great weekend.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Well, there you go, Ms. Megan Prozicki, dropping that knowledge for everyone here today. Appreciate you guys watching and listening. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to either one of us, whether you need help with nutrition or marketing. Also, would love to know what your biggest takeaway was. I would say for me, it was don't worry about the rules. Just get out and start doing it. And that really hit home, when I first heard it. and then went back and listened to it. So again, appreciate you watching and listening to this week's episode of the Business Growth Accelerator. Here's to your success.